Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today I want to chat about the fear of being judged. And if you're anything like me, then you really want something different for your life other than the society gives you. It's that beaten path that society prepares for you to follow and the kind of life to live. It's usually this kind of standard package of go to school, go to university, find a job, then get married, buy a house, buy a car, retire, and then eventually die. And maybe you can enjoy it once in a while, maybe have a hobby, maybe do something besides work that's a little bit extra. But if even the thought of it makes you want to hate your life, then probably you want to live an extraordinary life that's a little bit outside the norm, that's something different from the usual path that people take. So that can be traveling the world, moving to a different country, starting a YouTube channel, maybe doing music, right? Because I'm a music producer. I've actually noticed that in some artists and in myself too. I've noticed that in myself when I just started releasing music. Sometimes I work with people. They invest so much time into producing songs, mixing songs, mastering songs. They invested years and years and years in learning into singing and songwriting. And then they get to the point where they release the song into the world and then they start promoting the song and they try to hide their music profiles, their TikTok accounts, their Instagram accounts, because they're afraid of what their parents are going to think of them, what their colleagues are going to think about them once they find it, right? And it's just incredible, right? Because you think this is one of your best works, right? You put a soul into it, so why are you afraid of putting it out there and people rejecting you? So I believe if you have this fear, there's actually nothing wrong about you. It's actually pretty normal. And I would be surprised if you didn't actually react that way. That would be outside of the normal. And I believe the reason we react this way and have this fear is because we're running on a tribal paradigm in a modern world. So if you think back to the times for thousands of years, as humans, we were evolving and living in small communities and small families. And maybe even tribes, right, at the beginning. And being different in those tribes and in those small communities meant death. Sometimes death, sometimes you become an outcast. Most of the times you become an outcast and your life's quality is going to worsen because of that, right? Because if you live on the edges of the society and people don't want to deal with you, you're kind of a burden to them because you're different, then naturally your life is going to suck because of that, right? You're going to be an outcast. So I believe it's the same paradigm that's running our minds in a modern world. It's like we're running Windows 98 on a modern gaming laptop. And if you don't know what Windows 98 is, then that's exactly my point. We haven't been using it for at least like 20 years now, right? It's something I've been using back in the early 2000s on those big computers, those big wide, computers. Now we don't have that because we need modern software with modern hardware to actually be able to record these videos, edit them, do anything essentially. So I believe it's the same situation. So there's nothing wrong with you. It's actually pretty normal that you react that way. But we have to upgrade our paradigm to be able to do something new, right? So it's like instead of Windows 98, we have to upgrade it to Windows 7 or Windows 10 to be able to play modern games. So it's the same thing, but with the things that you want to do in your life, right? So to be able to do something different, to be able to do something individualistic, expressive, creative, lead a different lifestyle, then you have to have a modern paradigm, right? Because we're not living in small communities anymore. We're big boys and we're living in big societies, right? So we can actually afford doing that. We're not going to be outcasts. And if we are outcasts, I'm sort of an outcast. I've been living in 9 different countries in the last 10 years. I've been doing various different creative projects, and I'm an outcast. Like I live in Argentina, and I lived in 9 different other countries before that. I was born in Ukraine, and I feel comfortable doing that, and it doesn't affect my survival. So you can actually afford that, right? You can be different. You can be very different and still live well. And I believe that's actually the path. I believe I'm deeply happy with this kind of lifestyle, and I would be deeply miserable if I was just doing the usual beaten path, right? So how do we actually do it? For me personally, I found a way that just completely changed my life. And I decided that this is going to be what this whole channel is going to be about. It's about shadows, it's about unconsciousness, consciousness, becoming more conscious, becoming more aware. So the first thing we have to recognize that it's this tribal mentality that is running us when we are afraid, when we are anxious, right? It's this mentality, if they don't approve of me, I'm dead. We have to recognize that it's running in the moment that it's happening to you. We have to make the unconscious conscious. So that thought is unconscious, right? You can't really pinpoint it. Because if I ask you, why do you care so much? You're like, I don't know. I just love my family. I don't want them to feel bad about me. But actually it's this fear beneath it at the root level that is driving that, right? So we have to notice the shadow, that the shadow is unconsciously running our life, this anxiety, this constant background noise of wanting for people to approve you, right? So the next step would be to actually sit with that fear and look that fear dead in the eye, and don't put your gaze out of it. Just look it dead in the eye, into that fear, into that thought of people rejecting you, into that anxiety that comes because of that, right? So there's two sides to it. There's the thinking side of it, the conceptual side of things is when you're thinking, if if I post my music video and people find out about this, then, they're going to disapprove of me. And then you have to sit with that thought and look at the emotions that it produces. And then look it dead in the eye for 30 minutes, for 60 minutes, until it loses its power over you, right? And this was the method that I found when I was 19, when I just started doing things. When I moved to Egypt, the first country I lived in, I had a difficult situation of me dropping out of university, and obviously my parents disapproving of it. And I was very anxious. And I remember I was so anxious at a certain point. I woke up at 6 a.m. and I had this anxiety just going and flowing through all my body, and I just couldn't resist it. It's impossible for it to stay unconscious anymore. And then by just some random opportunity, I saw a random quote from some monk that said that you have to face your fears because your fears are like shadows, something similar to that. And then I had no choice. I basically went into that emotion because the emotion was so bad that I even woke up because of that at 6 a.m. So when I went into that emotion and I surrendered to it fully, to that anxiety, to that fear, what am I going to do next? I dropped out of university because, I'm so different from anybody else. I'm not going to follow the beaten path. But I'm also anxious. And then once I went into that fear, I sat there for 20 minutes. I actually lay down, right? I didn't sit, but I lay down for 20 minutes, and eventually this fear lost power over me. And the next day, when I woke up for the second time that day, was one of the happiest days of my life, even though the circumstances were the same. It's because I faced that shadow, I faced that fear, I faced those emotions, that they lost their power over me, right? There's this quote, I actually don't know what this quote is from. I think it was from the Conversations with God, which I haven't read. I'm going to read that book. But it says, what you resist persists, what you look at disappears. And that's exactly what I'm talking about here, right? And then once you face those fears in the moment, right? Because you have to become aware of those in the moment. Most of the times you're not going to have it, right? Most of the times you produce the music, you travel the world. It's those rare moments where people find out about this, they talk about you for this. In those moments, you have to face those fears and go into them fully for them to lose their power. But most of the times you have to just do the work, just face the fear that way, right? I know I'm afraid. I know people are going to judge me, but I still decide to do it, right? I still decide to create art, to travel, to start this YouTube channel. And this is a semi-spiritual YouTube channel. right? It's a philosophy YouTube channel. A lot of my friends didn't even probably know this about me, that I'm very passionate about this, and they're definitely finding out some of the videos that I'm posting, even though I'm not sharing this, and they're probably judging. So, and to be honest, I'm a little bit, self-conscious about it still, if I'm bring my awareness to it, to that thought, but I have to face it to be able to do this work, because I'm really passionate about this, right? Another thing that I realized, we're getting to the end, but another thing I realized when I actually started doing, crazy things, just moving to a different part of the world, starting music, doing something that's outside of the normal, is that people don't really care. People are so self-absorbed. They don't actually care about what you're doing, right? They care to a certain degree, but it's mostly, they don't care as much as you think. And that's the case for you too. You don't care, right? Even if you find some project that, your friend is doing and you think it's cringe, you can think about it for a minute and then you forget about it, right? It's not too big of a deal. And if that happens to you, if people are coming to you and you think, and they say, this YouTube channel is a bad idea, you should stop doing it, or it's cringe, what you can say is just, thank you for your feedback. I appreciate that you care about me, right? And then you can still move on and do it, because you don't have another option, right? You don't have another option. Another life is not an option for you. If you're a musician and you don't make songs, you're not going to be peaceful. You have to do it. If you want to travel the world and you don't do it, it's going to catch up in the future, and that fear is going to stay with you. Another thing is more metaphysical, and it's even more psychological, but your fear of people judging you is a reflection of you, of your shadow, and not of some objective situation in the world. It's a reflection of your biases. It's a reflection of how you see the world, what you think, what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, how you see other people, what people should do, what people should not do. And so naturally, you're going to do this to other people too, right? Just have to realize that it's your bias and it's always a reflection from you. Even if it's about other people, it's always about you. Even if you're afraid of other people, you're really afraid of yourself. That's your fear, and it's part of your psyche. It's part of your shadow. So when they critique you, when other people critique your work, it's the same thing. It's just a projection, right? Because you can do one thing and some people are going to find it genius and other people are going to find it cringe and bad and wrong and devilish. So realizing this gives you ultimate freedom, I believe. And then actually integrating that lesson into your psychology, into your spiritual work, awareness work, is really what gives you freedom, at least to a certain degree. Not fully, but to a certain degree. So caring about what other people think is actually, it can come from two different places. It can come from a place of self-acceptance and love, or fear, right? You can still care about what other people think about you, right? So if you post something on this channel and you post, oh, this video is too long, I wish it was about this, but I love this part of the video. If you post it with love and it's a genuine critique, then I'm actually looking forward to it, and I really care about this. Or you want to give me some advice that's based on your experience, or you have a unique perspective on this that's coming from love and self-acceptance and understanding, then it's one thing, but something that's coming from fear is another thing. So ideally, we should care about other people's opinions, and we should care about other people from a place of love and self-acceptance and understanding. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested into how to actually go into those fears, into those emotions and anxieties, and how to practically work with them, how do you actually bring your gaze inside and look at them and stare at them so that they lose their power, check out my free mini course. It's called the Emotional Processing Protocol. It's part of a bigger program, so it's a time-limited course. So it's going to probably change over time because it's going to become part of a bigger program. It's all about this, right? It's going from being anxious all the time, being in fear, to being more grounded in life with this grounded confidence and with more inner peace in your day-to-day life. as opposed to being run by these anxieties, by these unconscious energies. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to this channel if you're interested in these topics, and I'll look forward to chatting with you in the next video.